Um, and our rules of conduct kind of apply. Uh, when I call on the one to come up, we need to come up and to the podium here, and we need whoever speaks, no matter what, we need your name and your address here in town, where you live. For the record, it's all our commissions do that. It's just part of the record keeping that the city does. Then the applicant will speak to it. We've got our packet. We know, have an idea what's going on, but just speak to what we're looking at, and we may have a few questions while you're speaking, but the intent is to then let anybody else that wants to speak in favor of the application come up and speak, and then anybody who wants to speak in opposition to it, so we can hear all sides at that point. And then once that's done, we'll call it back up here, and that's when we'll talk about it. Talk to the applicant. And if we have questions during that time from the audience, let's raise hands, and I'll try to get to you. But sometimes finishing a point answers a question, so let's bear with us. I'm saying this because this is the biggest crowd we've had since we got back in person. So I'm anticipating some activity tonight. So yeah, it's not necessarily a reflection on the applicants that they've stirred up a hornet's nest, but sometimes you never know. With that, we'll start with the first one. I guess I'm kind of drawing out so Shelby can get here, but and then hear everything. But I think we're gonna. She's okay. We'll go ahead and start. So the first one we have here is the 1832 Robinson Avenue, the city church signage application. I don't know.
Is that good?
That's good.
James Walden, 14 Oakdale Drive. So an overview of the request is we purchased the city church property at 1832 Robinson over about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and the request is to install a sign on the front facade that faces Robinson, and it's a black aluminum sign, simple font that has our logo, which is an X, and then City Church across the front facade that faces Robinson. And also included in the request, when we purchased the property, there were two existing two-post signs, and so it included in the request is to keep those signs. And I don't have any direct opposition to the recommendations. I have some questions though. Is this a good time to ask the?
Let's get speaking for or against, and then when we talk
about
the details of it, yeah, that's fine. Let me just a question: the two signs, the hold signs. All you did was put your new logo on it. Nothing changed.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're already in the ground.
Okay. All right. Okay. If that's okay. Anybody else speaking in favor of the request? And it's not required, but if there's somebody who wants to say something. Anybody speaking in opposition of the request? Again, we want name and address and
Hello, I'm Tom Kitts, 1837 Robinson. I would like to be a little more clear about the proposal, because there's already an existing sign in the atrium. If you look at your pictures of the church there, you'll see the glass atrium when it shows the full front of the church. And there's already some signage in that glass atrium. Is that part of the proposal, that sign?
yes.
Okay, so is the proposal for two signs then? On the front of on the facade of the church?
Correct.
So there's two signs.
Yeah, window signage, and then the wall sign.
Okay. Well, we're the house directly across the street from the church, and we're in opposition of any kind of large letters. And the sign that's in the window right now was okay. I think it's a little too big now that the leaves have fallen off the tree. And it seems to look a lot bigger. I don't know if that's within the regulations of the historic district, but we didn't know that was going to be lit. So there are three spotlights. When you look at the front of the church and you see the spire in the back, the little white spire, then you see that two-story atrium. There's the interlocking C sign. And There are 3 spotlights above it. So above that sign, in that glass area, there are 3 spotlights. So when they turn those on, it's right on our front porch. Even though the lights shine down, it's very bright. It's like it's lighting up that whole atrium, that whole glass atrium.
And those are new? They weren't there before?
They were there before. We haven't installed any new lighting.
The sign wasn't there, is that correct?
Sign was not there.
Okay. And there was no, did you have a permit for the sign, for that sign?
Not the one hanging inside.
Not the one hanging inside. I don't know if you would consider that an internally lit sign. It's,
That's a weird gray area.
I know, right?
Because it's inside, but it's not inside the sign, but it's still inside. I don't know. I would tend to think it was not an internally lit sign. It's just lit
That
from
whole
within.
area is internally lit.
Yeah, yeah.
Internally lit, when in the regulations, when we say internally lit, it's basically the sign itself
Yes.
emanating the.
Sort of like the last one that was there,
Yes.
the first issue we had, that's
Well, I
gone.
thought that was a gray area also, because it acts the same as an internally lit sign. Once it's lit up, it's quite bright,
Sure.
and sometimes it's on all night. I don't know what their system is for lighting, but it's on all night. The sign, the letters they put up, you also have a picture of those. Yes, there's a picture on the front page. The letters and the symbol that they put up before, you can see how big it was. Now, those were also lit. You can see the 2 spotlights up in the eaves of the brown eaves there. And that's quite bright also. So when it shines down on that white brick at night, it's very bright. And we're opposed to that also. So we're opposed to the size of the letters, the size of the symbol, and they also, the size and the internally lit part, I'm calling it the internally lit part of the sign that's currently there hanging in that atrium.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak in opposition to the proposal?
I'm Madeline Adams, and I live next door at 1822 Robinson. This is the second church that we have had trouble with not knowing what the rules are. When I move to a neighborhood, I want to know when they're going to pick up my garbage and when they're going to pick up the, whatever, and what time does the mail come. It behooves the newcomer to learn the rules. Obviously, this church has not known the rules. The church previously did not know the rules. And we find ourselves calling the planning department to enforce what we know the rules are. And they are in black and white in a directive. That's my song and dance, and I'll be here again.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else here speaking opposition? Oh, Madeline, hold on. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Could you please just state what you think?
Their numbers, I don't do numbers, but lighted signs that interfere with neighbors, because these are neighbors, we object to. For instance, the Kitts, the man who just spoke with you, sits on his porch every morning and every night. And it's absolutely impossible for them to enjoy the sky, the trees, the lights in the dark, because their yard and their front porch is lighted up from that sign. We don't have any problem because we are beside the church. Is that what you want to know?
Well, I was just trying to figure out which rules you said were being broken and weren't followed. I'm just trying to figure out what those rules are. And maybe I can ask the commission.
Yeah.
Because you said there's rules not being followed, and I'm wondering what those rules are.
Well, there's size of, and even the lighting can be discussed too, I'm sure, but I think size and quantity more than anything. I mean, got a lot of signs. So we get the details of that. Okay.
And
Right.
don't make your neighbors angry.
Got you, thank you.
Especially her. All right.
I'm Marilyn Larson, 1814 Robinson. I'm right next door to the Adamses, immediately at 822. I'd just like to say, I think from our standpoint, we are enjoying the energy of the people that are at this church, this round of folks that are there. There is obviously a lot of joy, a lot of happiness, a lot of excitement about what their goals are, and Christian fellowship and what have you. I think that we would like to see a keen realization that they are in a neighborhood. They are in a situation where the value of property is going up, and anything that they do needs to be in alignment with the quality of life that we are now starting to experience on Robinson and the 1800, 1900 block, Mitchell Street likewise that's there, the sense of being part of community. And I think it would be a good idea if the church would get to know us and get to know us as neighbors, as we would like to get to know them as neighbors too, in a real positive kind of way. And so that's all I would have to say, in that the issue that we're talking about now doesn't affect us, because we look forward onto Robinson from the middle of the block and the red brick house that's there. We are immediately to the east of Adams's, which is the lower right picture that you see. We're to the immediate east of that. So I think we all need to keep in mind together that we are all family in that neighborhood, and we all want our property values to maintain and to grow. And you see in the lower right, left-hand corner picture, there is a beautiful, what is it, a 4,000-foot house that is just going up there, that is bukus of dollars that are invested in that house. That whole street on Mitchell is turned into a delightful renovation of that area. So the church needs to keep in step with the neighborhood too, in a very positive way, and that's all that I would add to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak in opposition? Yes.
My name is Lorraine Kitts, and I live on 1837 Robinson. I'm the spouse of Mr. Kitts. And I wanted to follow up on what the gentleman over here asked Madeline Adams about rules. And it's all we're asking is that they follow the rules of the historic district, which is on page 5, and that says all freestanding signs in the Robinson Historic District should not exceed 16 square feet in area and 4 feet in height. The sign ordinance otherwise allows religious facilities to have one monument or 2 pole signs up to 6 feet in height and 48 square feet in area, and 1 wall sign in R2A zoning district. I mean, that's all we're asking them, just to follow the rules. Like you said, this is the second time we've encountered this incident. The first time it was very traumatic for us. The church before, it was really, the sign was so bright. And we felt really bad because we wanted to be friends and a part of the community. But like Madeline says, we sit on our porch and we have to see this big, huge sign and this big, bright light. And so they're just breaking the rules according to the historic district. And so we just want them to follow the rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak in opposition? And I just want to clarify that paragraph she read, which is, I mean, it's true. There's 2 ordinance issues we're dealing with. One is the City of Conway sign ordinance. allows, like she read, religious facilities have one monument or two-pole sign up to 6 feet in height and 48 square feet in area. That's a big sign. But then you go into the historic district, the Robinson Historic District, and we knocked that down, several years ago to 16 square feet. So there's not either 16 or 48, it's 16 is what, just for anybody that might have heard the numbers and I heard it and forgot, we superseded that. So what we're talking about is the 16 square feet and 4 feet in height is what our rules apply. So.
And I will say this, there is a precedent in multiple locations where it's been above 16 square feet. That's why it, in essence, comes to y'all.
Yeah.
Many times because there might be a freestanding sign that might be larger than 16
Right.
square feet.
Well, and I've had it asked, we, down the street, First Baptist Church has one sign, a monument sign. It's a little bit beyond the 16, but it was done like many years ago before we had incorporated the 16 square feet. So I'm not going to speak to that being right or wrong, but they have the one sign and there it is. But then we're talking technically from the intersection, you can see 4 signs. And so I don't know that we don't total up the square footage of all of them. I mean, each sign's its own thing. But as one of them said, the neighborhood kind of that's the signage that has been taken down and everything seems to be a lot of times more appropriate for other commercial locations, seen from a distance, kind of, obviously say this is who we are. But so I think that's where some of this the problems are coming from, or the issues. But it's also the rules. Our rules are keeping them small so that it's not we don't take up signs. I didn't mean to get off on that just before we start talking, but I guess I started talking. But we've heard for and against, and I guess it's time to bring it to us to discuss it, and if we have questions or whatever, we'll get them. But you guys know I'll talk till I don't talk. So but I guess just if I could continue with that real quick, basically the number of signs, that size of that main one that was on the wall, that's a real issue, just size wise, and so from that, I don't know what your opinions on.
When was the,
Scoot up.
excuse me, when was the brick painted? Like when was it y'all that painted the
white
outside?
The white paint was, but the brick was already painted.
Yeah,
Okay,
it got painted a few years ago, another go round.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the white was recent?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that has some kind of issue with the reflectivity of the.
Oh, I'm sure it
of the
does.
lights.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. The other was a light gray, so it wasn't that much different.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have changed much. But, the lighter color, the more it's going to reflect. But I think, honestly, that the big one, the wall sign, did you calculate the size of that?
That particular sign, no, but the standard is 10% of the wall facade, which it
Yeah.
easily and readily would be under 10%.
Yeah, it's just, I guess for in this residential neighborhood, that just seems, excessive size-wise. When there's the other one in the window and then the two on the ground, the one up the corner, the one back in the back is a little different because it's distant at the other drive. I get that one, but it just, I don't know, it just seemed to me personally, yes, sir.
The primary request is for the large wall sign.
Okay.
I think the other signs could be,
I thought,
they're all included. What I'm saying is, if we had to choose.
Can you step up to the mic, please?
yeah, we're good. Yeah, it's easy to talk this way.
We would prefer if we had to give signs to make way for the large wall sign, I think we would be willing to do that. That's what I'm saying. If we needed to remove the.
Well, yeah, I think the small ones they're within what we're okay with, right, rule-wise.
Well, so we allow one.
Oh, that's right, it's quantity. See, it's the quantity thing. Sure. We got 4 we're looking at, and I don't know, then when you get to size of each, if we're, if we had to pick or whatever, we'd probably go smaller just because that's what kind of the intent of all this is. So, to say we drop one of the small ones for the big wall sign might, that's not necessarily, I think, where we're wanting to go, but, I don't know, I need to hear other people. I'm just.
I'm tending to lean toward, what the rules are, one small sign, correct? And then one, you can have
Monument-
two signs.
Monument sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one monument sign, and then, so choose one monument sign, and then one of the larger signs, correct? That would be,
There's,
because there's lighting problems with the wall signs, correct? There's lighting problems there,
Yeah.
but are there?
yeah,
But-
I think one of the main questions with what's in the foyer is
Is that technically a sign?
is it a sign? Because when the light is on and it's displayed at certain times, it obviously has the character of being signage. At other times, it
Correct.
doesn't. So it's kind of a weird thing, because previously on what was there before was just an applied vinyl graphic on that window.
Oh, yeah.
So it constituted a window sign. So it's a definite gray area. And staff's look at it and review at it, it seemed to be, from perspective, the things that were most difficult about this is probably lighting.
Correct.
It being lighting, and so when I reviewed that and provided recommendations, basically having a time of day at which lighting cuts off, so that there's, after 8 p.m., there's not a certain amount of lighting. And then also having standards that basically say, if you're gonna have light bulbs that light it up, then we, have a standard of the sign is X large, and so we can't have, I essentially looked up what's a normal standard that they have for most commercial, which is 200 lumens per square foot of signage. So I said, okay, well, this is a residential area, cut that in half, 100 lumens, and that seemed like a fairly reasonable standard. But the reason with the is included there is essentially no signage be illuminated after 8 p.m. or in a manner that would result in excessive light trespass. So if for instance, in this, if it's approved with the current lighting with 100 lumens, and we still have a lot of problems, and staff could work with the applicant to figure out some kind of way, and the neighbors figure out some kind of way to illuminate it in a way that I think meets all of the various entities' needs. So that we're not causing an issue where we've got an excessive amount of light trespass on the neighbors, and there is some functionality to the signage as well. That's just staff's opinion.
So is everyone aware of the recommendations of?
Okay, you read them?
I'll read them. So the recommendations, staff recommendations, after looking at this,
Hey,
right up here. Okay, so you've read that. Cleared up? Well, I'm just going to read what's there. So basically, so.
I got a question since we're getting at it, I think the question is that 8 p.m. an acceptable compromise to you?
Well, it depends on what time of the year.
Okay, so would we say 8 p.m. and whatever daylight savings time, and then in, say, 5 p.m.? What?
I think the issue for us is, yes, that would be very helpful. But right now, the way it is now, it's so bright. Even the atrium, it is, when they turn those 3 spotlights on, that's why I call it an internally lit sign, it's extremely bright.
Right, well, here's what I'm just gonna say. I think the church needs to get with the neighbors, like someone suggested. And I think the church needs to host a meeting when the neighbors need to go, and they need to work out this compromise, try to work it out among themselves.
I'm not going to disagree with that. The thing that James was addressing about first off the time, but the 100 lumens, that doesn't mean anything to most people, and I deal with electrical engineering, and I still don't really know what that means, but it's the brightness that's the problem, and many things can be lit and viewable but not brightly lit, you know, so to satisfy that part of it, I don't think we can do that right now, because there's 8 ways you could illuminate that sign in the behind the glass that you don't even see a light. You know, you could light it from behind and you see its blackness with a glow around it, and that's you know, that's a nice effect. Same with the wall sign. Again, I'm not discussing money. I'm just, you know, the things that can be done. I'm not saying you got to do this, but it could be lit from behind it that just lights the wall behind it. You know, so there's ways to do it, and we're not talking about size and quantity right now, but there's ways to do that can be done. It's just that, you know, I mean, that's not what we figure out up here as far, you know, I mean, other than giving you some ideas and then we talk again, you know. So that's, yes, sir.
Can I say something else? Because I was a little taken aback what you said about it, about you want that big sign. If you came home one night, let's say, in your neighborhood, and there was your neighbor across the street that was a new neighbor, had put up a sign that said, you know, Gus's Auto Glass Repair, and had a big windshield on the side of his house, and that was lit all night long, you wouldn't like that. So when you're talking about putting a sign up still facing our house, I think we have a problem with that.
And is it mainly the lighting? It's mainly
The lighting and the size of the, yeah. I mean, you just think, I know when y'all started the church, they came by our house, said, we want to be good neighbors, and we would like to be good neighbors too, but we've been down this road several times with different churches. And so we also don't want to set a precedent for other churches that might want to, if you get 4 signs and it's that big, well, what's the next church? And then we have, so the character of the neighborhood is what's important to us. We've been through this, all of our neighbors before. We're there because we want to be there. We love our neighborhood. We like the character of the neighborhood. So when we saw that sign where the red outline is right there, it's glaring. It doesn't fit into our neighborhood. So we would love to work with you. Let's come up with different idea so it's not an intrusion on our neighborhood. We'd love to do that. Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Joe Snyder. I live at 2 Mark Place here in Conway. I'm speaking for the sign, so I apologize if this is out of turn, but I do have a question. As y'all can tell, this is not just, are we following the rules? There's a lot of opinion involved as well. And that's something that is hard for us to navigate, because this has been a church building for decades. This is not a new building. So the question is, how can we put a sign on our building and do that by the letter of the law? We don't want to break any rules. But if it comes down to opinion, that's very difficult. The opinion seems to be that we can't have a sign. And at the end, well, I mean,
it's how to make it work.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, the size of the wall sign is for a neighborhood, I think it's just huge. And on a access road at a highway, perfect, because you can read it from a long way away. But for a walkable, single family residence neighborhood, that's in the range of a billboard. I mean, I'm not overstating it either.
Yes,
It's things can be done. I'm an architect. We have 2 architects up here. Not offering anything. I'm just saying that I know design is a many splintered thing, but it's, you know, the like your small signs, you can barely read them because holding to the logo, and that's fine. This one, then when it gets big, it's like, you know, my goodness, it's huge. So I have a problem with the size of it, and
Yes,
that's not whether you have a sign or not. It's the size of it, and if we had to pick between the two, the window sign and that sign, you know, right now it might be tend to go to the window one and lit properly where it's not glaring across the street. As opposed to that, that goes beyond a monument sign because it's so large. But that, like I said, that's my opinion. And the 2 small signs, they meet. We can deal with them how we need to. You know, if there's only one's allowed, that's what the rules say. But I just that's the lighting. I haven't experienced it because I don't live across the street. We've had it. You know, again, it's number 2 in the odd lighting choice to blinds a neighbor, but that, and like I was saying a while ago, lighting can be done in a way that does what you need and doesn't go across the street, through curtains. So, there's several ways, several compromises that need to and can be done without saying no sign. We're not saying that.
Well, and I apologize for boiling it down to that point. I have a clarification and then I have a question, is why I approached. We want to know what the rules are and to stay under that. If we need to make the wall sign smaller, we're totally willing to do that. We want to follow the rules of the historic district. The other thing I had a question about in regards to lighting is we have not installed any sign lights. All of the lights that are currently illuminating everything are down lights on the building that have been there. So when we're talking about times and setting timers, that is set on the entire downlight of the entire building, which involves some security stuff. So as you guys are making that ruling, I'd just like to point that out, that that's what we're ruling on. So that, like, if we're having to cut those off at 8 p.m., that's cutting off all exterior lighting on the entire building. So I just have I wanted to make sure that was understood so that we can abide by that.
Is there more control on the atrium light?
Those are all set on a timer.
So the atrium light that's over here to the left of the red rectangle, and then the exterior light is all
Oh, the one that's
controlled together?
inside the building?
Yeah.
I believe that one's just on all day. There's not a timer on that. We don't know how it's wired. We're still new to the building, and it's just on. I guess it's just hardwired in. All of the exterior lights are on timers. There are three standing poles to the left of that bottom sign. Those are all on daylight timers, and then the rest around the building are set on a manual timer that's currently set to dusk and dawn. And that would be what controls the light on that sign.
I got you.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Sorry, Siri. Siri doesn't live here.
No.
That's hot.
Okay, thank you.
Did we give James a chance he had some statements or clarifications or something with the recommendations? Because we said we needed people to speak for and against.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that back up. I think they've been addressed. The question on recommendation number one is, could the city provide a clear indicator of where the clear view is and the right-of-way is, so we know exactly where to move the sign? And then we don't have any issue completely removing the Mitchell Street sign to fall within the rules. Or with issue number 3. And then the other one was just addressed about the soffit lighting, the down lighting. I just wanted clarity on that, because there's not lighting intentionally for the signs. There's just soffit lighting across the entire building. So my questions were cleared up.
That's fine. I guess, based on the idea that individual lights can't be dealt with, it's either they're lit up like they are, or we take them away.
Right.
I mean, if there's no in between, no working on getting that to work, then it's either they're lit like they are now, or we got to get them out of there.
Right.
And that's become a black and white
Right,
issue
because,
now.
removing the lights just that would illuminate that sign doesn't solve the problem, right? Because the whole facade is lit up.
I know. So, I mean, one possibility would be to regroup and not have signs that are affected by the lighting of the building that you apparently can't control, and with the rules in mind, meeting with James, maybe figuring out what to do. A monument sign is a monument sign is a monument sign. We've got our sizes and stuff, and we show you right away where they can be, and we don't do a wall sign, and we maybe don't light the one inside or take the one out. It's become clear that we're not going to change the lighting, and if we can't have those signs because they're part of the problem. I get the impression that it's the lighting is there, and that's what's happening. We're not going to change it, and we're not going to investigate it. So we got to deal with the way it's lit, and if that's the case, we take the signs away.
Can we add a recommendation that the lighting at the signs be evaluated and studied by the owner? I mean, like we know that you can change light fixtures out.
Yeah.
Even if
And
everything
change
has to operate
circuits,
together.
get them on different circuits and timers. I know.
or even the bulb output or something. I mean,
Yeah.
something can be done. It's not just that the lighting's the lighting,
Right.
it's the lighting.
Right.
The way I presented that is not how I intended
No,
that.
that's fine.
I'm not trying to say we can't do that. I want to follow all the rules. So I was trying to point out, this is just the lights of the building. If we need to terminate lights, whatever, to fall under those rules, we'll do that. We'll do anything we can.
Have the lights been replaced? So my questions when I first saw this was, when was it painted white? Because super reflectivity as opposed to gray. And then also, have the lights been upgraded, meaning like just the bulbs been replaced?
New
and
LED bulbs
versus-
or, yeah.
Yeah, well, when we moved in, we replaced the dead bulbs, yes. The one in that atrium space, we'll do whatever y'all recommend. I just wanted y'all to understand that that's the whole building. And before y'all do anything, just know, like, tell us exactly what to do because of that. I'm sorry if that came across.
No, that's fine. I wasn't.
Because LED bulbs are gonna be significantly brighter
Well,
than the
Especially
old
the
bulbs.
dead bulbs.
Correct.
Bright
Yeah,
ones
especially
are,
dead bulbs.
there are, you know, you can vary the
Exactly. There's a huge,
the wattage and also the color and everything. But I guess
Can I say one more thing? I just wanted, if y'all need us to do like lumens testing and stuff, we have the capability to do that, if y'all need that.
okay. My question, I guess, to James, we have two signs that are on the wall, basically. Or what are we?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's in the foyer atrium, that is a matter of debate as to the degree to which it constitutes
A sign?
a sign.
because basically all
There's
it is
arguments
the
that can be interpreted
logo.
both
It
ways.
doesn't say city church, it's just their logo.
If it was a statue, it wouldn't be a sign. It'd still be something that was lit, that would be.
I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, the logo, it being the logo, that's one of the things that trends towards that, but at times, it's not intended to be sort of externally viewed, it's
Well, but
complicated.
it's been lit at the same time that this sign would be lit, and that logo, is now twice on there. I mean, I'm not trying to design the graphics for the church, but it's kind of on the overdone side as far as in the window, then there on the wall, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of piling on top of itself, but, so
My suggestion is, you're down to one monument sign outside, correct? They took the other one up? Is that-
that's.
Okay, one monument sign, and then if they're going to do some on the wall, then they need to be appropriately sized. I think that, I'm like you, that one on the wall would be terribly, terribly big. Pick one, right? Because both of them are huge, so pick one. And then with the lighting, try to get different bulbs. Because I flip houses, so, you know, changing out a light bulb today from an old bulb, it's totally different. It's a different experience depending on what bulb you get. So that's a start. That's my recommendation, is to start. And then,
Yeah, well, with the lighting, I mean, again, not to pick at it, but,
it was there before.
I know, but the sign wasn't there.
No,
So, and it wasn't painted white, so the whole situation has changed. So if that were to stay, the sign were to stay, the white's not going away, the lighting needs to change. And I don't mean
Correct.
just bulbs, I mean, it may need to be that it's some special lighting comes in and takes care of that as it needs to.
But you're saying if the sign stays, it's gonna be much smaller than what's there,
Well,
correct?
that's my opinion is it's way too big.
I
for-
agree.
I
For where
agree.
it's at.
Yeah.
And
The
again,
sign wasn't there before,
right, there was no sign. And then also
and it
having
shouldn't be
that,
there now.
the logo is in the sign there, and it's also, what was it, 15 feet away, in the glass. And I don't, you know, as a graphic thing, I don't know I don't know, it's kind of redundant, but I wasn't asked to design the graphics for the church, but we're more need to be about reserved but with not saying don't put your name on the church. I mean, that's not. But you know, First Baptist down the street. I'm not trying to compare, other than they have their monument sign, have one sign on the whole church, other than saying office over the door where it goes, and that's it, you know, on the church that's, what, 2-3 times bigger? I mean, I'm again, no comparisons and anything other than signage, but, and they're crowded, you know, they park in front of my house all the time. So, you know, I don't think it's a worry as far as here we are, you know, that will be lost if the signs aren't what we've got here. But, so I just think that one or the other of those two on the wall, then we got the one pole sign out, 2 pole sign, that goes into, that one in the window is the weird one that we can't put a name on as far as what it is, other than when it's lit, it's a sign. And then when it's lit, it's lighting up the kids' house, you know, like crazy. So if that stays, we need to have that particularly modified in lighting respect to be this, whether it's 100 lumen or whatever, or somehow lit where it is not a porch light for them. And then the other one, if we want to address the size of it and its lighting too, that's what we need to do. Or if we say that a monument sign has to be on the ground out there, I'm not saying we do that. I just think that one has options too. Whether it's on the wall or not, we can still allow a monument sign lit out from outside like normal. Am I right?
Man, sorry, it sounds.
You zoned out while I was talking. Okay.
It's what it sounds like. I'm hearing is y'all are looking to table this tonight. You want me to go hang out with alternate universe James, alternate
Yes.
reality James.
With your doppelganger,
Yes.
whatever, yeah.
And
Doppelnamer.
come up with something that addresses some of the lighting, come up with something that addresses the size of that, and have them bring that back. Is that?
Well, in addition to that, I think the neighbors need to be involved in this. Because we can do that and bring it back and the neighbors still have opposition, then we're right back where we were.
I think it can be done, it can be figured out. Well, the way it was handled, you know, I mean, I'm not knocking it, it's just the way it was handled. Signs were put up on the ground where they were, you know, that's plus or minus, and then this big one was put on, because, you know, you wanted to get your name out there, and that was done. Whether or not they looked up the rules and all that, but then, just boom, it was done. And got caught, got found out by the city, now we're here. I'm not saying the neighbors shouldn't be included, but I think if what's done is what James just said, because we've done this with buildings before. People have come, they hollered at James, and I've sat down with them, and we go over what they've got and give them the do's and don'ts of what they're doing. They come back with something that's little, that's good. I just think that it could be figured out with the rules that we've got and with the obvious issues we've got right now. Something that we could look at, whether then we have a little, if y'all want to take it to the neighbors, that's fine. I think that would be encouraged. But I don't know that we want to do as a commission, do that. This needs to be a design issue, a little design team, and then it's something that comes out of that. And I think that would be the healthiest thing to do.
So based on our conversations tonight, can we say that we want to limit the wall signs, what I'm calling the wall signs, being behind the glass in the atrium, and then one?
Yeah, I mean, I
between
think
two
the first thing I
tables?
think is we're tabling it with the things that we've talked about to be taken into consideration. Like what you're saying, if you want to keep stating
But
that,
if the
that's
church is
fine.
coming back to have a meeting with James,
Yeah,
James
right,
and
I'm
James
sorry,
are gonna
yeah.
get together.
Right.
So maybe we, as the commission, can say, you need to have only one sign along Robinson, one wall sign, right?
Or monument
Or
sign.
monument sign. So in my world, a monument sign is like a freestanding sign versus
that's
the
what I
two
mean.
pole
That's what I
signs,
mean.
which are the little smaller ones.
Right.
And
that's what I
that
mean.
sign,
That's
that
a
big
viable
sign
option.
something's got to happen to that.
Yeah,
Because
and whatever monument or wall
I
sign along
can't
Robinson
vote
needs to
for as it
be,
is with that
Yeah.
in there.
needs to be sized appropriately.
Right.
And then also, we maybe ask the church to do a photometric study, which is any engineering company can take the perimeter of your church and the light fixtures, the bulbs that you have, and run the numbers to say, this is how many
Lumens, yeah.
lumens are being output on your property and then what's bleeding out into the street. And so any engineering company in town, I can give you the name of a couple that can help you with that. And then they would also, some lighting providers would then recommend, hey, you have these fixtures that are putting out this many lumens. If you go to this fixture, it would cut those lumens down by whatever. So that then you would only have, 7 or 8 lumens that bleed over the street or over to the neighbors. And I think that would be kind of the direction that I would recommend.
Yeah,
for the
I think so.
tabling
I think, and again,
thing.
I think James can can get them in the right direction. It may be that y'all meet one time and you have some homework, to do, and then, deal with stuff. So I'm not saying it's something it won't take months, and it could happen pretty quick. Y'all are wanting it pretty quick, I know that, because you're up and running, but we also want to have it dealt with in the right framework of time. But with that, I mean, I think it's in best interest of everybody to table it, and it's not a negative on the application. It's really a positive to get something worked out. So if everybody's good with that, so we need a motion for that.
I motion to table it with the recommendations discussed.
The direction that we.
The direction.
Yeah, that's fine.
I second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. We're clear on what the motion is? Well, basically tabling, that's nothing, that's clear. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We thank everybody. I mean, the church, this is, the whole thing, I think, Ms. Larson was correct in that we're all neighbors, and we, it shouldn't be any grumbling when you're driving in the parking lot. I mean, we're all living here together, and it's our neighborhood. It's y'all's neighborhood now, so, if we can get that pulled together, I think we do it like we're saying, like we hope it can work. I think everybody's gonna be happy, so I think we can work it out. I'm positive about that. So with that, thank you all for coming, and we're not, we're gonna meet again, but hopefully it'll be I won't say rubber stamp, we don't do that, but it'll be a much easier, and everybody will know what we're doing when we start next time. So with that said, I hope everybody understands that. So thank you guys, and now, so with that, that one goes, again, if we can get it quick enough and do things, we can meet next month and not have delayed it that much. So that's, okay, thank y'all. All right, after that.
Everybody's leaving after that.
Yeah, I know. Now Mr. Adcock's like, what's going on now? Okay, the next one we have on our agenda is 908 Chestnut Street. Have an exterior modification, and the bus is unloading right now for the people going to speak against you. So.
See y'all.
Yeah. There's a bus coming in from downtown. Yeah, I'm kidding.
My name is Bunny Adcock, and my mailing address is 1107 Oak Street. Before we get into this, so let me say that for several years, a long time ago, I served on the city council, and we approved the Robinson Historic District when I was on the council and voted for it. So I think I'm partially blamed for what happened tonight.
No, it's credit you're given, not
Give
blame.
credit, okay.
I sat through council meetings for 6 months, reading every line of our ordinance to get it done. So I mean, appreciate your part in it.
Sure.
So all right,
That's good. So anyway.
tell us what you got.
This summer, I bought a store from Carmen and Wynn Thompson at 1022 Oak Street, which a lot of people know is Massey Hardware.
Right.
It's a historic building, one I was very, very pleased that I was able to buy it. I got the information from the State Historic Preservation Commission. The building was actually built in 1910, been with us for a long, long time. There really are two segments to the building. The first is the big one that you all are most familiar with, open to the public. And you see it on the bottom right picture up there on the screen, which you're very familiar with. It's a 4,000 square foot building there. The part you're probably not really familiar with is the back. And you see that on the sign on the left in the center, top center. And that is, we've just given the name of 908 Chestnut. And that was built in 1940. My guess is that was probably originally built, is probably a storage for the hardware store. And I've had several people tell me that people my age who'd been in there as kids and bought guns and shot guns back there. So they tested guns back in the back there. So it had been used like that. When Carmen and Wynn bought it, they converted it to an apartment. And so they lived back there I don't think Wynn did, Carmen did.
Yeah,
Wynn was teaching abroad.
Yeah.
And so Carmen, I think, lived back there during that time period. And of course, we're pulling that out, all the apartment out. And what we're proposing is to put a door in. I asked the Arkansas Historic Preservation Commission to do that, and that's some of the drawings that you see up there on the screen there. They're the ones who have drawn that up and have approved it because I'm using historic tax credits.
Right.
Here, and so they have ones who recommended it, and I thought that'd be a good idea to let them do that.
Sure.
And so, what I'm proposing to do is that shot you saw a while ago of the brick wall, the concrete wall out there, is to put that door that you see there in that, there. A lady who's like to rent it from me sells olive oil, and she would like to put a retail outlet for selling olive oil. It's about 1,250 square feet, that part back there.
Okay, okay.
Back there. And there's a picture again of that,
Yeah.
that back section back there.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Adcock?
So you'd basically be removing the brick and then putting in the glass and the
It's
door.
actually a concrete block, you know,
Is it
so.
Well,
yeah,
but
on
it's
that
more
left-
than that too. I mean, what you're,
Wait.
It's kind of where the white sign is, that's, announcing tonight's meeting.
That's where the door's going,
That's
right?
where the door would
Yeah, it's
be.
in the concrete block, which is the more modern part of it.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So the historic brick is gonna stay untouched on the rest of the building. Okay.
Correct.
Okay,
So, yeah, it's basically taking a blank facade and adding a new facade, which is on a, stretch of that side of the street that could really use
Yes.
a storefront.
Yeah.
I know the concern of the Historic Commission, Arkansas Historic Commission, was that it fit in the historical neighborhood. And
Right.
that's the reason I let them do
Well,
the
I was gonna
design.
say, if they're doing it and they're gonna approve tax credits for it, I mean, that's the best you can do, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, that was where I am now. No, that's Western Auto, that's where I am now.
Western Iowa was still when I moved here. I remember going there and it's like an antique store, but Massey was still open when I moved here too, and that was a neat, I'm sorry it's gone, but anyway. Well, anybody have any questions for any more for Mr. Adcock?
Is there any, just looking at the blank facade, wherever the last picture was, I think it's great where you're putting the new storefront, but the little arched historic brick opening that's right next to it with all the utility boxes, is there any desire or intention to upgrade?
Yeah,
The
it
photo
looks
on the
like the
right?
original opening was filled in with concrete block to make a single door instead of what was probably a double door
Yeah.
just for like access, but,
Yeah, no.
so you're not gonna touch that, okay?
Touch it?
Not
Okay.
touching any of the exterior except that one
Okay.
spot.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it was turned into like a security door
Yeah.
from a double door that, whatever was mistake, but still.
Just, I can dream,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I know. All right, any other questions we got? You're gonna get off light compared to the first group. So,
If it'd been that way, I'd have quit.
I know. Hey, it's the second one coming and seeing something like that, it's always, I know you start kind of getting a little quivery, but it's because all the group left, so. Anyway, anybody else speak in favor of it? And there's no, my family's back there, otherwise it's, yeah. Anybody in opposition? I have to ask the questions. Okay, back to us, and I'll say, coming from the state preservation group and tax credits involved, they're not gonna lead you wrong, and I like what's happening, so I think it'll be good.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, have a motion?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks, James.
All right, we're still live. Yeah. Are we still working? We have more to do?
No, we did adjourn.
What do we, no other business?
Do we have any other business?
Yeah, he's going in the concrete block, yeah. All right,
Just gotta adjourn the meeting.
okay, all right. Anybody want to adjourn?
I make a motion also to
Thank you,
adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll
Motion-
second.
Motion and second, and we